Then all the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron and spoke, saying, Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. In times past, when Saul was king over us, it was you who led Israel out and in. Yahweh said to you, You will be shepherd of my people Israel, and you will be prince over Israel. So the elders of Israel came to the king of Hebron, to King David, and made a covenant with him. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a covenant with them in Hebron before Yahweh, and they anointed David king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah. The king and his men went to Jerusalem against the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, who spoke to David, saying, The blind and the lame will keep you out of here, thinking, David can't come in here. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. This is David's city. David said on that day, Whoever strikes the Jebusites, let him go up to the watercourse and strike those lame and blind who are hated by David's soul. Therefore they say, the blind and the lame can't come into the house. David lived in the stronghold and called it David's city. David milked around from Millo inward. David grew greater and greater, for Yahweh the God of armies was with him. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David with cedar trees, carpenters, and masons, and they built David a house. Then all Israel gathered themselves to David to Hebron, saying, Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. In times past, even when Saul was king, it was you who led out and brought in Israel. Yahweh your God said to you, You shall be shepherd of my people Israel, and you shall be prince over my people Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and David made a covenant with them in Hebron before Yahweh. They anointed David king over Israel, according to Yahweh's word by Samuel. David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, also called Jebus, and the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, were there. The inhabitants of Jebus said to David, You will not come in here. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is David's city. David had said, Whoever strikes the Jebusites first shall be chief and captain. Joab, the son of Jeruiah, went up first and was made chief. David lived in the stronghold. Therefore they called it David's city. He built the city all around, from Millo even around, and Joab repaired the rest of the city. David grew greater and greater, for Yahweh of armies was with him. Now these are the chief of the mighty men whom David had, who showed themselves strong with him in his kingdom, together with all Israel, to make him king according to Yahweh's word concerning Israel. Here is the number of the mighty men whom David had: Jashobeam, the son of Hachmonite, the chief of the 30. He lifted up his spear against 300 and killed them at one time. After him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Aholite, who was one of the 3 mighty men. He was with David at Pasdammim, and there the Philistines were gathered together for battle, where there was a plot of ground full of barley, and the people fled from before the Philistines. They stood in the middle of the plot, defended it, and killed the Philistines, and Yahweh saved them by a great victory. 3 of the 30 chief men went down to the rock to David in the cave of Adullam, and the army of the Philistines were encamped in the valley of Rephaim. David was then in the stronghold, and the garrison of the Philistines was in Bethlehem at that time. David longed and said, Oh, that someone would give me water to drink from the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. The three broke through the army of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. But David would not drink any of it, but poured it out to Yahweh, and said, My God forbid me that I should do this. Shall I drink the blood of these men who have put their lives in jeopardy? For they risked their lives to bring it, therefore he would not drink it. The three mighty men did these things. Abishai, the brother of Joab, was chief of the three, for he lifted up his spear against 300 and killed them, and had a name among the three. Of the three, he was more honourable than the two, and was made their captain. However, he wasn't included in the three. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Casbeel, who had done mighty deeds, killed the two sons of Ariel of Moab. He also went down and killed a lion in the middle of the pit on a snowy day. He killed an Egyptian, a man of great stature, 5 cubits high. In the Egyptian's hand was a spear like a weaver's beam. And he went down to him with a staff, plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and killed him with his own spear. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, did these things, and had a name among the three mighty men. Behold, he was more honourable than the 30, but he didn't attain to the three. David set him over his guard. The mighty men of the armies also include Asahel, the brother of Joab, Elkanah, the son of Dodo of Bethlehem, Shamoth, the Haharite, Helez, the Pelonite, Ira, the son of Ikesh, the Tekonite, Abiezer, the Anathothite, Sibbekeh, the Hushathite, Eleh, the Ahahite, Maharai, the Nephathathite, Heled, the son of Baanak, the Nephathathite, Athai, the son of Ribai, of Gibeah, of the children of Benjamin, Benaiah, the Pirathite, Hiruah, of the brook of Cash, Abiel, the Arbathite, Asmaphah, the son of the Baharamathite, Elihabah, the Shaalbanite, the sons of Hashem, the Gizonite, Jonathan, the son of Shaggiel, the Harathite, Ahiam, the son of Sakar, the Hararite, Eliphal, the son of Hefer, the Merakathite, Ahijah, the Pelonite, Hezron, the Carmelite, Neeri, the son of Ezbae, Joel, the brother of Nathan, Mibhar, the son of Hagri, Zelek the Ammonite, Zahariah, the Berothite, the armor-bearer of Joab, the son of Jerohua, Ira, the Irithite, Gareb, the Irithite, Uriah, the Hittite, Zabad, the son of Alai, Adina, the son of Shizah, the Reubenite, a chief of the Reubenites, and 30 with him, Hanan, the son of Maacah, Jehoshaphat, the Mithnite, Uzziah, the Aphathite, Shammah and Jael, the sons of Hotham the Arorite, Jediel, the son of Shimri, and Joha his brother, the Tetzite, Eliel, the Mahavite, Jerubai, the Joshaphite, the sons of Elnaam, and Athma, the Moabite, Eliel, Obed, and Jaasiel, the Mezobaite. Now these are those who came to David, to Ziklag, when he was a fugitive from Saul, the son of Kish. They were among the mighty men, his helpers in war. They were armed with bows, and they could use both the right hand and the left in slinging stones, and in shooting arrows from the bow. They were of Saul's relatives of the tribe of Benjamin. The chief was Ahiezer, then Joash, the sons of Shimei, the Gibeathite, Jeziel and Pelet, the sons of Asvamathath, Barakah, Jehu, the Anathothite, Ishmael, the Gibeonite, a mighty man among the 30 and a leader of the 30, Jeremiah, Jahaziel, Johanan, Jozbad, the Getherite, Elizai, Jeremoth, Bealil, Shemariah, Shephatiel, the Hupharathite, Elkanah, Ishaiah, Azarel, Joeziah, and Jashobeam, the Gazarites, and Jaleel and Jebadiah, the sons of Jehoram of Gedor. Some Gadites who joined David in the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty men of valour, men trained for war, who could handle shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and they were swift as the gazelles on the mountain. Asa the chief, Obadiah the second, Eliab the third, Mishmana the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Attai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elzabad the ninth, Jeremiah the 10th, and Macbanai the 11th. These sons of Gad were captains of the army, he who was least equal to 100, and the greatest to 1,000. These are those who went over the Jordan in the first month, when it had overflowed its banks, and they put to flight all who lived in the valleys, both toward the east and toward the west. Some of the children of Benjamin and Judah came to the stronghold to David. David went out to meet them and answered them, If you have come peaceably to me to help me, my heart will be united with yours. But if you have come to betray me to my adversaries, since there is no wrong in my hand, may the God of our fathers see this and rebuke it. Then the Spirit came on Amasai, who was chief of the 30, and he said, We are yours, David, and on your side, you son of Jesse. Peace, peace be to you, and peace be to your helpers, for your God helps you. Then David received them and made them captains of the band. Some of Manasseh also joined David when he came to the Philistines against Saul to battle. But they didn't help them, for the lords of the Philistines sent him away after consultation, saying, He will desert his master Saul to the jeopardy of our heads. As he went to Ziklag, some from Manasseh joined him: Adnah, Jozabed, Jebediel, Michiel, Jozabad, Elihu, and Zithiah, captains of the thousands, who were of Manasseh. They helped David against the band of raiders, for they were all mighty men of valour, and were captains in the army. For from day to day men came to David to help him, until there was a great army like God's army. These are the numbers of the heads of those who were armed for war, who came to David to Hebron to turn the kingdom of Saul to him, according to Yahweh's word. The children of Judah, who bore shield and sword, were 6,800 armed for war. The children of Judah, who bore shield and spear, were 6,800 armed for war. Of the children of Simeon, mighty men of valour for the war, 7,100. Of the children of Levi, 4,600. Jehoiada was the leader of the household of Aaron, and with him were 3,700. And Zadok, a young man, mighty of valour, and of his father's house 22 captains. Of the children of Benjamin, Saul's relatives, 3,000, for until then the greatest part of them had kept their allegiance to Saul's house. Of the children of Ephraim, 20,800, mighty men of valour, famous men in their fathers' houses. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh, 18,000, who were mentioned by name to come and make David king. Of the children of Issachar, men who had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, their heads were 200, and all their brothers were at their command. Of Zebulun, such as were able to go out in the army, who could do in the battle in array in all kinds of instruments of war, 50,000 who could command and were not of double heart. Of Naphtali 1,000 captains, and with them, with shield and spear, 37,000. Of the Danites who could set in battle in array, 28,600. Of Asher, such as were able to go out in the army, who could set out in battle in array, 40,000. And on the other side of the Jordan, of the Reubenites, the Gadites, and of the half-tribe of Manasseh, with all kinds of instruments of war for battle, 120,000. All these were men of war, who could order the battle array, and came with a perfect heart to Hebron to make David king over Israel, and all the rest also of Israel were of one heart to make David king. They were there with David 3 days, eating and drinking, for their brothers had supplied provisions for them. Moreover, those who were near them, as far as Issachar, Zebulun, and Naphtali, brought bread on donkeys, on camels, on mules, and on oxen, supplies of flour, cakes of figs, clusters of raisins, wine, oil, cattle, and sheep in abundance, for there was joy in Israel.